So as I mentioned, these three types of cells should look familiar. We did cover them in chapter 4, but let's go into a little bit more detail as we review them. So remember osteoblast, we said B for blast, and we said B for build, right? So we are building tissue. We said osteoclast do the exact opposite of building. So we said C for clast, C for chew or crush or collapse, whatever word you want to use. And then we said osteocytes are those mature osteoblasts. Basically, they just kind of get trapped as they get older, and really they just kind of hang out in the bone tissue. They do still have a job, but they're just not as active as those osteoblasts and osteoclasts are. All right, so where are these things found? Let's go back up to the top. The osteoblast, very important for bone growth and bone remodeling, is the osteoblasts are primarily found in the periosteum, which once again, this is the outside part of the bone. This is where all those collagen fibers are. So as we build bones, as our bones heal from a fracture, as we get bigger and stronger, as we grow taller, generally speaking, what we're doing is we're strengthening the outside part of the bone with those osteoblasts. Now, are osteoblasts found elsewhere? Yes, of course, but primarily they're just on this outside portion of the bone. The osteoclasts, however, are found on the inside part of the bone. They're lining that medullary cavity along the endosteum. So what we're going to get with this phenomenon is as our bones get taller and wider, as we grow our bone tissue growing up, what's going to happen is we are actually going to chew from the inside out, and we're going to make more space for that bone marrow cavity, that medullary cavity, and then we're going to build it stronger on the outside. So yes, osteoclasts, even though we're chewing and breaking down and destroying, we're basically doing that so we can build it stronger on the outside. So picture doing a home remodel, or if you're fixing a car, we need to take out some of the stuff on the inside, right? We might have to knock down a bathroom wall here, or we might need to take out these spark plugs here, and then we'll build it stronger. We'll build a better wall, a thicker wall, or we'll build something new in the car. You get my analogy here. So the osteoclasts are very important. We do need to break down in order to build efficiently. And then the osteocytes, where are they located? Well, it depends on what type of bone we're talking about. If it's compact bone, they're found in those little black slits all throughout the lamellae. They're called lacunae, or lacuna is one. And then in cancellous bone, or spongy bone, they're found in the actual bone tissue. They're just embedded within that trabeculae. So let's move on to the next slide. I'll show you a picture, kind of give you an illustration of these types of cells. So really, really good picture. I love how the illustration is giving you shapes of these cells, but also the location. The location is really cool too. For example, look at the osteoblasts and notice that it's coming from the very, very outside. It's coming from that periosteum area. And once again, what these do is they just secrete that hydroxyapatite. They just spit out bone matrix. They spit out all the calcium and the phosphates, and they make your bones bigger and stronger. The osteocytes are just found everywhere. They can be found within a compact bone. They can be found in the lacunae, excuse me, and they can be found inside the trabeculae in spongy bone. Let's move over to the far right. We'll talk about osteoclasts. Once again, notice where they're located in the top picture in the bone. They are located on the inside, lining that medullary cavity in the endosteum. And notice they got a cool, unique structure to them. They're a little differently shaped than the osteoblasts. So what they actually do is something called resorb bone, which they actually break down bone. They secrete these really, really strong hydrogen ions and enzymes, and actually kind of it's an acid is what it is, and it basically just burns your bone and dissolves your bone tissue from the inside out. But once again, this is an essential process of growing and healing for that matter. So we do need this. And then the third picture here is the osteogenic cell. We haven't discussed that yet, but that's just the stem cell, and that's what's actually going to make these osteoblasts. So some osteogenic cells, they go through mitosis and they actually become osteoblasts. And then as the osteoblasts do their job and they get older, they can actually become osteocytes. So it kind of goes in that order. Now the osteoclasts are kind of left out of this equation. The osteoclasts are basically just macrophages. So they're actually coming from the bone marrow. They're coming more from like the immune system in itself, not so much the actual bone tissue, these osteogenic cells.